And now for my next number, I'd like to return to the
classic.
Hey vinyl community,
Hi.
Alex back again with another video. I haven't done a best of the year list since I think about 2020. So yeah, so I figured I'll jump on it now and do my top 10 favourite albums of 2023. If you guys would like to see my best of the year list for 2022 and 2021, please let me know, although they will be different now to how they were or would have been in 2021 and 2022. This is sort of a tradition I used to do at the end of every year, was a best of the year list, and then they just sort of fizzled out over time. But I want to bring them back because I really enjoy like doing top 10 lists and stuff like that. So yeah, I figured this will be a fun way to well, just a fun video to make, I suppose is the correct terminology. Because I don't have any physical copies of any of the records I'm going to talk about, I'm going to have to pop a picture of the album cover up on the screen somewhere. So you guys will get that instead. Like I said, a completely different format to what you guys are probably used to from me by now. But this is the best I can do. So yeah. Let's get into it. Before I get to the top 10, I do want to give you guys some honourable mentions for 2023. These are albums I've loved and enjoyed listening to that didn't quite make the top 10 for one reason or another. So Dope Lemon's new album, Kimosabi, did not make the top 10. It was really close, but like I said, can only pick 10. Kian Dukraut, his debut album Victory is another honourable mention. Didn't quite make the top 10 for me. Alchemist's new album Variables is another honourable mention. I've really enjoyed his music since discovering Antiphon, his album that came out in 2017. Thought it was a really good album. Unfortunately, there was another album I liked just a little bit more. I'll mention a bit later on. Unknown Mortal Orchestra, V or 5 I'm guessing, their 5th album, really enjoyed that one. Boy Genius, yep, their album is an honourable mention for me. As good as it was, I did enjoy some other albums just a bit more. Nas, King's Disease 3, I think King's Disease 3 was his best of the 3 albums he's put out this year. And I actually think it's the best of the 3 King's Disease albums in my opinion. But yeah, just didn't quite make my top 10. And then Dinner Party's Enigmatic Society. For those of you that don't know, Dinner Party, it's like a collaboration between Robert Glasper, Terrence Martin, I think his name is, and Kamasi Washington. So it's sort of like a jazz, hip-hop kind of fusion-y. Yeah, really good album. Again, didn't quite make the top 10. So they're my 7 honourable mentions for you. I normally give about 10 or so. But that kind of gives you a rough idea of the kind of albums I've listened to. And although I did enjoy, it didn't quite make the list. I think in general in 2023, I'm not sure how many albums I listened to. It was way over 100. Some I only listened to once and didn't like. Some that have obviously stuck with me, and that's the list. That's what I've based this list on, is albums that have either impacted me this year or albums that have just stuck with me through 2023. So coming in at number 10 is a hip hop album. It's a collaboration between 2 different artists. That is Glorious Game by L. Michaels Affair and Black Thought from The Roots. This is L. Michaels Affair, for those of you that don't know, have famously in the past done funk instrumental covers of Wu-Tang Clan songs. And for this album they've joined up with Black Thought, the lead rapper from The Roots, and made what I think is one of the best hip-hop albums this year. It's definitely one I've come back to a lot this year, I think, in my opinion, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it from track to track, so that is my number 10 spot. Number 9 is a debut album here. This is from Victoria Monet, I believe is how you pronounce her name. Jaguar II is the name of the album. It's sort of a part 2 to her Jaguar EP that came out a couple years ago. Very strong debut album from her. Can't wait to see where her career goes. I think it's a very good choice what she did with that album. I really like the opening track, which features Lucky Day on guest vocals. I thought that album was really solid from her. Number 8 is Gorillaz, Cracker Island. This is the first time I'm making my top 10 list in a while. I did love Song Machine from 2020, but that album didn't quite make that list. It was just off the cusp because 2020 had so many fantastic albums, in my opinion, that something had to suffer. But Gorillaz, Cracker Island, although not, obviously I like 7 albums more than it, but it definitely has been one I've come back to a lot this year. So that's why it's made the list, just because of how often I've come back to it. Number 7, Janelle Monáe's The Age of Pleasure. So this is her first album, I believe, since 2018, and it really is a good one. She sort of does alternative R&B with a few cultural inspirations thrown in the mix. This one has a lot of tracks featuring, I think it's Femi Kuti, or one of the Kutis, I believe. Features on this album a few times, so you can definitely tell she's got that African inspiration in this album, and I definitely think this is maybe my favourite album from her. Not 100% sure. I did love Dirty Computer though, from 2018, so it's a close competition anyway. Number 6 is Killer Mike's Michael. This is his best album probably since rap music came out in 2010, or at least in my opinion anyway. If you're not counting all the Run the Jewels stuff, because I think Run the Jewels might be his best stuff in my opinion. But this is a really solid solo album, and it has its standout tracks of course, but from front to back, just a really solid album there from Killer Mike. Sorry I'm flying through these, by the way, before I get to my top 5. I'm trying to make this video really short and not try and make it too long and drawn out, because let's face it, no one wants a long boring video of me just talking about albums that I'm not actually showing a physical copy of. Number 5 is The Japanese House, In the End It Always Does, I believe is the name of the album. Very boring cover for this one. It's just like a white cover with like a blue circle that looks like it's been drawn freehand on the album cover. It's not a very good album cover at all, but the music is just really good. I don't think I've ever put a Japanese house album in my top 10 lists before. This one just, I don't know, it spoke to me I guess, and made my top 10, so there it is. Number 4 is my favourite rap album of the year, and I know what you guys are going to be thinking, and no, it is not the JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown album. I will say I was not a fan of that one. As much as I wanted to be, I don't think it's the strongest album from either artist. I mean, Danny Brown, I think he's tried too hard to be like kind of an honorary member of J.K. Pathia in the album, and I think that's what it lacks for me, is the uniqueness of Danny Brown being on it. Instead, my favourite rap album of the year is Zarface, Artificial Intelligence. Really, really good album there. Again, track by track, very solid, can't fault it. There isn't a bad track on it. And of course, 2023 is the year I finally got into Zarface a lot more. I liked a couple tracks here and there from them, but hadn't really dove too much into their catalogue. And this year I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and get into some artists that I'm kind of familiar with, but wanted to get into more of their stuff. So Zarface was one of them, and although the album came out quite late in the year, it definitely had an impact on me with a couple singles that came out beforehand. So yeah, Zarface, Artificial Intelligence, comes in at number 4. Number 3 is another new discovery for me, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, so please bear with me here. Ambrose Akinmusire? Akinmusire? Ambrose Akinmusire is what I'm going with. I'm probably butchering that up. But his album, Owl Song, I believe it's his debut album. I'm not 100% sure, but again, this one came out in the last month of 2023, so I think it's missing off a lot of top 10 lists, maybe because of how late on in the year it came out. People haven't really either had time to discover this one or really had time to let it sink in that much. But although not spending that much time with it, I think it's one of the best albums of the year. It might have been higher on the list if I'd spent more time with it, but it is definitely one of the best newer jazz albums I've heard in a very long time. I think the last time a jazz album featured in my top 10s, it was Jaguar II in 2020 again. So yeah, Ambrose Akinmusire comes in, or Akinmusire, I don't know, comes in at number 3. Yeah, maybe I should just stop trying to pronounce his name. Anyway, number 2 is Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. She had an album out in 2021, and although I thought the album was good, I thought it was missing something to make it a bit better. And I don't know what she's done with this album, but I really think this album is way better than her last album. As much as I enjoyed her last album, and although it would have been an honorable mention from 2021, this album really hit me in a different way, I think, and really stood out as one of the best of the year, obviously, because it's at number 2. But yeah, just a really, really solid album from start to finish from her, and I'm really excited to see where she takes her career next, because if her albums just keep getting better, her next one could even make number 1, who knows, but we'll find out. So number 1 was a no-brainer for me. Usually with each year I kind of pick a theme, like the album that comes in at number 1 kind of sums up my year, I like to say, but not really, because it's just whatever album I've listened to the most. But I think with 2023, if I had to sum up the year in one word, probably be Broken, which really sums up this album pretty well. And my number 1 pick is Lis Capaldi's album, Broken by Desire to Be Heavenly Sent. Not only did he have the album out, he had a Netflix documentary following the behind the scenes and the making of this album, which obviously that documentary was very well received on Netflix.
Good documentary.
It is a good documentary. Recommend it for anyone who isn't familiar with him but wants to get to know him better. He's one of those artists that you'd put under a list of he doesn't sing the way he speaks. Like, he sounds completely different. If you hear him sing and then you hear him speak, like it's like two completely different people. But he tells his story of having Tourette's and things like that and what it means to him in the documentary, and why he's taken such a long gap between his debut album in 2019 and this album. This one, for some reason, this one I prefer, maybe because I've had more time with this one. I didn't really listen to him back in 2019 when he came out. Obviously, I listened to his singles, but I didn't really listen to the whole album. And then this year, the whole album I've listened to, and I've just come back to it the most, I feel, out of all the albums that have come out this year. I don't know what it is, I don't know why. I think maybe something about this album really clicked with me this year, and I think this album would sum up my year, to be honest with you. It's been it's been one hell of a year, and I don't mean that in a good way. You know, you get those years where everything that can happen that's bad does happen. Like, it's one of those years, and hopefully 2024 is a lot better. But that's
23 then. I was like, no, don't do that again.
No, 2024 much better. And yeah, I think if an album has to sum up my year for 2023, it's Lis Capaldi's album. So whether you like him or not, he is my number one pick for album of the year. I'm sorry, I can't help it. It is my album of the year. So yeah, with that, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I know it was a slightly different format to what you're used to from me with my top 10s, but hopefully with 2024 we make it a lot better. Hopefully I hope to be making more content more frequently. No idea what content I'm going to have, but we'll find out anyway. Let me know if there's any videos you guys want to see, any lists or anything like that. And yeah, with that, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new here. What are your top 10 albums of the year? Let me know down in the comment section below. And with all that said and done, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye.